Welcome to Unpacked, real conversations for diplomatic partners who are ready to unpack more than just boxes. This is the space for the brave questions, the messy middles, and the quiet decision to stop shrinking and start showing up fully. We talk identity, purpose, transitions, and what it really takes to feel at home in a life that's always moving. Because you've always been more than just the label, and this is where we say it out loud. Hi, I'm Emma, and I'm with my co-host Anna.
Hi everybody, welcome back to episode 9 of Unpacked, and I'm here with our lovely Anna. Anna, how are you doing? It's been so long. What have you been up to? How's everything?
Hi Emma, hi everyone. So good to be here recording this podcast with you. Episode number 9. I cannot believe it. It's crazy. And before I go further, actually, guys, we want to thank everyone for all your love. We've been getting such amazing feedback from people who just started, right? And it really helps them to understand the complexity of this lifestyle because no one talks about it. But also it helps those who have moved around a lot. And the thing is, when you think, okay, I've moved around so much, and that means I should know how things work, and it should get easier. Well, you, yes, know what's happening. You are in charge of the logistics. You're good. But I think emotionally, like, things can get pretty exhausting because you've done it over and over and over again. Anyway, thank you so much. And we're always here, right? Any feedback, any suggestions?
Yes.
Always here.
Yeah,
That's
and
your space.
it's been so nice as well, Anna. I mean, it's really lovely that people have reached out to you and people have reached out to me, and even things like, I did this now, and actually this has helped me in my this posting, or I'm so glad I found this podcast. All of this feedback, I can't even tell you. I mean, if we needed some external validation, you guys, you've really given it to us, and
Yeah.
it's very, very much appreciated because it does really keep us
Absolutely.
going. So thank you so much.
Absolutely. I think it's like for both of us, exactly. It's yes, validation. It's obviously lovely to know, okay, people do appreciate what we do, but I think it's also like for me personally, it's this impact. I think that's what we're after, right? Just lifting people up, empowering, and saying, hey, you're not alone in this. We're in
Yeah,
it together. This community feeling as well.
yeah.
And back to your question, Emma. Yes, busy, super, super busy. Somehow October is really packed. I somehow packed with so many things. So I'm hosting a one-day retreat in Dubai in person for ladies
Lovely.
to kind of reset from, overwhelm, anxiety, and juggling so many roles, being there for everyone else except for you, and getting into calm and confidence and self-trust, which is the one thing everyone should have. Oh, aiming for. And then I'm also doing a first masterclass online on Zoom. This one is actually available to everyone. And I don't know, you can, if you follow me, you can see, I'll be putting the links where you can go and register. It's expat spouse kickstart. It's like, when I say it's an iceberg and when you start, you only saw that much. It's like, oh my God, all these things underneath the water because people say, hey, yeah, you'll be fine. Don't worry, it'll be lovely. Well, it is lovely, but there are so many challenges, and people don't know how to exactly take care of their identity, their relationship, the finances, the everything. So that with this Kickstart masterclass I'm hosting, and in the Zoom global gathering, if you haven't attended yet, please come. I'm also thinking how to make it better and add even more value to the community, serve all of us. That would be probably, let's say, 24th. The dates, if you follow me, you can find them all there. And the last and the biggest one of all, I'm launching a 6-week program, group program. It's a pilot. It's called Lost and Found Roadmap because whether you're just starting or you've been drifting in this lifestyle for quite some time, you don't know where you are, where you want to go, and how to get that. That's literally a roadmap because I wish someone handed it to me when I started. It's like, how do I support someone else's career without disappearing? How do I remain a great spouse and a mom while building something for me? And how do I be the best person for me, actually? So all of that's coming from the 3rd of November, and you can find me on notjustspouse.com, in LinkedIn and Instagram, and all infos are there. So that
Yeah.
was a long,
That's
long
that's
answer.
a very busy October that you have.
Super busy.
I think
Yeah.
there must be something in the air because I actually really like, I think it was last week or something, like 100 days left of the year, so it's kind of like, let's go and get all of, like, so we're now in the, we'll be in
Maybe.
the 90s, so it's definitely about building up this last little push of energy and sprint going into before 2005 ends. I can't quite believe it, because yeah, I've also been having a super busy time with work as well. I ran a 7-day expat reset, which was, honestly, it was just so wonderful. I had 9 different ladies from 9 different countries, and I just shared 5 to 10 minute tools. It was really easy, really straightforward. Um, but apart from them, gaining all of the impact that they did from the tools and actually
Hmm.
receiving the benefit and just having time to reflect, as well as being in a supportive community, is amazing. But when you, like we both are, Anna, when you are working on for yourself and you are working on marketing systems, delivery, technical
Yeah.
things, like we've just been dealing with a big technical issue. um,
Yeah.
when you're dealing with all of that, you sometimes can feel really lost in the noise and you forget why you've done it, why you even embarked and started this whole thing on in the first place. So that 7-day reset, yes, it served its purpose because it really helped and supported other women, which was amazing. But also, it really helped me. I think it just gave me that real big boost of excitement and motivation and energy to carry on all of the amazing work that we've started. So, if you missed out and you wanted to get involved, I will be launching some stuff on my Instagram about how you can do the reset, even though that bit's now finished. And yeah, and opening up 2 more spots in my coaching diary for the rest of the year. So
Amazing.
yeah, I'm really looking forward to it because I've been working with this one client now for an amazing amount. We've been working together on my program Roots and Wings, so we're very similar. Anna, you've
Hmm.
got your Lost and Found, I've got my Roots and Wings.
Yes.
And mine's all about creating something that's portable, like
Hmm.
something that you're passionate about. And it's so important to have that because it really not only solidifies your identity and gives you purpose wherever you are, but if we can, and this is, I'd really urge people, if it's possible, to do that, to also earn some money. It doesn't have to be huge amounts of money, but to
Yeah.
earn something, because it really helps with our own independence, which brings us on to our big topic of the today, which is the one I can imagine seeps right underneath what you were saying. As you start to dig deeper and dig deeper, it's financial dependency. So
Exactly.
take a deep breath, everybody. We're really digging into this
Whew,
one.
yes, we are going to name the big gray elephant, right? We are going to try and dissect it. Obviously, we are not experts, but we know a few things and we are happy to share. But before we dive in, that's amazing, Emma. Just a
Yeah,
quick feedback to what
yeah,
you've been saying. I imagine the impact you had on those lovely ladies, but also, as you said, exactly, it can be very lonely and it can be, I'm sorry, effing frustrating when it's just you doing the admin, the marketing, and everything, the tech stuff, and you kind of get lost in the woods,
yes,
forgetting why you're doing thing. And that's why I think for both of us recording this podcast and doing, it's just also the way we reconnect with you guys.
yeah.
And
But
this, that's because we're both, it's very much mission and purpose driven.
yeah, it's to
Yeah.
work with people and to work for people and
Exactly.
to be in service to everyone. And I think that that's the most empowering thing. So just being knowing that we are here for you in any capacity is just is
Exactly.
it's such a wonderful and such a joy for both of us. I know that.
Exactly.
Um, yeah.
So
Oh, go
back
on,
to
Anna.
the back to the elephant. So I think this topic can be very intimidating because I think the system is kind of by design is built this way, right? As far as I know, the most ministries would pay a spouse allowance when you go on a posting. Most ministries would still transfer all this money onto your partner's account, although I know in some rare instances the ministries actually do pay you. So I think before starting or while you're already there, I think it's good to maybe, I don't know, have a quick look at what's going on, like where are you financially, and before we dive deeper into allowances, I think you first want to have a clear understanding, like how, like, do you guys have bank accounts? How many of them? Do you have cards? the health insurance, the loans, like, what's happening in the household financially. Do you have access to all of the information? If not, I don't know, maybe you think about it, and we can also touch upon then, Emma, I think it's worth discussing, how do you talk about finances with your spouse, because it's very sensitive,
It is a very sensitive
right? It's a
and a
super sensitive
culture.
topic.
Yeah, and I wonder, and I'm sure it's very different in lots of different cultures. But lots of people in the UK were like, "Oh, we can't talk about money. It's rude. It's impolite to talk about money." So there's a lot of things which makes us want to stand off from that, and we don't necessarily feel comfortable about sharing things in the way. But ultimately, if you just
Exactly.
think money is something that someone made up one time, and it's just what we use to exchange one thing for another, so we want to know
Ex-
how much we have.
exactly. It's a made up thing totally. It's just, yeah, not even paper nowadays. In
Yeah.
some way, it's totally made up, but we all need it. And I think for you, exactly. So you want to know what's happening already in the household, the assets, the bank accounts, and exactly the allowances that we're going to discuss. But before we even start, like, I would highly recommend you have your own bank account, just in case you do. Like, I think everyone needs to have her or his own bank account on top of joint bank accounts.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so and now back
And
to the allowance
yeah, the allowances.
situation.
I think it's really important here to note that allowances, benefits, or reimbursement, whatever they're called, firstly, they may be different, yes, per ministry, but definitely also by different countries, different hardships, different places where the
Yep.
cost of living might be completely different. And you know you would expect, or you would hope, that those would be shared quite freely with the working officer. So have that conversation. Have you even seen this document that has all of the information on there? But also, there's usually, because as partners, we are a bonus to the working officer. The organisation does not need necessarily partners in the same way they do the working officer. So as a partner, sometimes our allowances may be hidden on a separate policy somewhere completely different, and sometimes the working officer, especially if you're new to being overseas, might not even know what allowances you're entitled to. And so having conversations with other partners, family officers or community liaison officers, to really try to understand what there is available. I know even for myself, when we first moved to post, we knew that some allowances existed, but I found out that there were other allowances that actually just we found out through word of mouth. So really having those conversations within the community is going to be really important to make sure that you have access to everything. And to know that what you're getting is everything that you possibly need. But with that said, completely what you said, Anna, if you haven't had those conversations and it's going into their bank account and you don't know what you should be getting, it's really important for your own independence and your own security that you know that is being, if you are entitled to that, that goes straight into your bank account, and that's it. There is no other there's no other discussion around it. You're entitled to it,
Absolutely.
it's yours.
That's your salary, exactly. I think, and it should be transferred and onto your bank account. And yeah, that's your way of making, because you're greatly contributing to the whole, right? You logistically, emotionally, and so on. And yes, absolutely great. That's why you need to have your own bank account, and the allowance should be transferred to you. Absolutely.
100%. And I think with,
And
oh, sorry,
yeah.
Anna. No, you go for
No,
it.
and as Emma pointed out, the information is, unfortunately, maybe you are very lucky, and please tell us which ministry is doing an amazing job, and maybe you are getting some checklists, like, this is what you're entitled to, these are the benefits, this is like your rights, basically, and that's what you're getting financially. Like, what's happening with the pension. I know that some ministries would pay for your pension while you're overseas, but the majority of them doesn't. So things like that. So definitely talk to other spouses, talk to your spouse. Um, yeah, you
Uh,
need to be aware.
yeah. And I think that, you know, a lot of people, when you're having discussions with, like, there are always joint expenses and independent expenses, and how on a joint account which we use for food, going out, joint bills, we just transfer like a small amount in, and then we can top it up throughout the month if we need to. But that way also, you know, I'm not having to worry about, oh, I need this new lotion and potion, or I want to buy some new clothes and they're going to see what I'm buying. No, I can spend my money however I want to spend it. And I remember moving to Pakistan, and I first received my first allowance. Even though it went straight into my account, I felt a huge amount of responsibility for that money, as if I hadn't really earned the money. It was, and I was like, oh, I don't know whether I can go out and get my nails done with this, because that seems to be like, I shouldn't be spending it in that way. But when you remove away the guilt and you see it as, no, no, this is what I'm entitled to, just like they're entitled to their allowances, then I should be able to spend it however I want and do with it whatever I want to.
Exactly, because then it saves you, I, how would I say, a lot of troubles down the road, because potentially what might happen, and it does happen, sadly enough, you know, if you don't have these agreements, if you stay in this, um, y- the money is all in the joint bank account, and every now and then you would need to go and say, hey, I need some money. It's not good for your self-esteem,
Yes.
because again, being in this lifestyle for a while, meeting all sorts of people, I know the answers that might come back like, already gone, I gave you some last week. What did
Yes.
you do with that? Or, oh, money doesn't grow on trees, darling. You don't want, like, what does it do to you as a person, to your relationship? Because you're not equal anymore. I'm very sorry to be harsh here, but that's true.
Yeah.
You know, kind of giving this power away, and that's why, whenever possible, since by design the situation is that you most likely cannot work, and we're going to talk about it, right? Depending on whether there is a bilateral agreement between the countries. Um, so if finding job post is impossible or difficult, or I know sometimes, let's say if you're ambassador's wife, for some ministries, you're not allowed to do anything. No NGOs, nothing, 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 nothing pro bono, nothing at all, nothing remotely, nothing for the ministry. You can only study. That's not good, exactly. So that's why even having whatever you can have into your own bank account with your own money, so you take away this poison of money, being someone who needs to go and ask her or
Yes.
his partner for money.
Yes. So it's all about creating fairness and independence, isn't it? So I think that even knowing what the whole of the income is. So there's one thing about the allowances, but there's also a thing about income, and then actually understanding what is going out, because depending on how you've set things up, it might be that you don't know how much bills are costing, or if you have loans, or where things are moving, and therefore without that, again, you're losing that independence and that knowledge. And you know, as we know, knowledge is power. So really, when we start to understand and get ourselves involved, it sometimes can feel as though you know, it all feels a bit too serious, or I've got too much to manage, or, you know, oh, I just leave it all up to them, they just deal with all of that stuff. Actually, no, we want to know where we are as a family, and where we want to be. Like, what are our, if we want financial goals together, what about myself, what about you? And actually having that conversation is so important.
Exactly. I think because in a couple, let's say if you look at it as a road, right, and there are two lanes, like he has his lane, you have your lane, in terms like you have your vision, your I don't know, dreams, whatever your purpose, but still the road, in a way you kind of, let's say it should be one way, because ideally you should be heading in the same direction.
Yes.
But everyone has his, or I mean, their lane they're focusing on, and then together you're building towards this mutual future, mutual goals. And there is one thing, because I came across, like, and again, guys, I think like I've done a lot of things wrong, and that's how I know how it feels. I also know from working with clients who kind of don't beat yourself up if you just hear finding out, oh my God, uh, I have done so many things wrong, and I feel already this way. And it's not too late, at least now, by acknowledging and looking at those hard facts that, okay, you don't know. That's fine, because it's a reflection of what was happening, and you can change it. And that's why, I mean, Emma and myself are trying to give you some tools. But even like just rethinking the whole situation. If I'm Before we're going into more like tips and details, let's talk. I mean, for me, the mindset wise, let's say if I'm not working, right? Let's say if I'm a mom, we moved to a post, I'm not working, for whatever reasons, like maybe my kids are too young and I want to spend. You want to understand that you are equally entitled to 50% of whatever he's earning. Like he's not, you're not the lucky one, he's the lucky one. Also that you are supporting, and if you wish to work and he wishes, obviously you're doing all this unpaid labor, unfortunately, like a lot of us do so much unpaid. And if you were to outsource what you're doing, the cooking, the cleaning, the child, I don't know, care, that would cost a lot of money.
It sure would.
Right?
Yes.
So you're good. Like that's your money too.
Yes, it absolutely is, and I think from a position as well of actually understanding that that money is for you to spend right now. It's also about the questions about, are you actively contributing to savings for yourself, maybe for your family, or however you're deciding. But what is your savings for? Maybe going on holidays, going to seeing your friends overseas. How do you have that time for yourself? What are your long-term savings? So your pension, do you have investments? Are they in your own name? What, don't,
Yep.
I think sometimes that when the working officer, who might be really interested in finances, and sometimes it goes, oh no, they deal with all of that, that's great. But actually what that happens is, and they can say, no, I'm looking after our investments for the future. Okay, well, at first you might find that really comforting. Like, brilliant, I don't have to do that. I don't have to worry about it. But actually, where does that leave you in terms of, if things go wrong, how do you access that? How do you make sure that you're still entitled to your full 50% of that? If that's your original plan, because people change their mind as things go on. So it is really about looking after yourself here. Do you have an emergency fund that you can that you can access if you need to?
Absolutely. So and again, like it's not about doom and gloom. It's really about
Yeah.
taking full responsibility for your life and where you are in it, within the constraints we are all in as diplomatic spouses. Um, and exactly as Emma said, having a little dinghy. Let me explain the analogy. In one of the studies conducted by your father on divorce, actually, there was this metaphor. In this study, I don't know how many people were interviewed who went through divorce, and it's heartbreaking, and a lot of people were absolutely unprepared. And one of them said, living this diplomatic spouse lifestyle is like going on a fancy cruise. Buffet, champagne, music, exotic destinations, but you don't have a ticket. And you can be offloaded from this beautiful ship, just dumped into the water, and you'd be able and watch everyone like have ship sails away, they're all partying, and there you are in this cold water pedaling for your life. So that's why I call it, you have to have a dinghy. Like, whatever it is, like, your savings, things in your account, copy of your passports, anything you need to know, like access, what's happening with the health insurance. Like this information, it's power.
It is. And even if that is, looked after by the other person, do you know how to access that? If that's saved all on their laptop, then that's absolutely no good. If it's printed and you know which file it is in and it's the emergency file, you have access, you know where it is. So it's not necessarily about doing two jobs all at the same time. If one person can be in charge of this, ultimately you don't want to take on an additional mental load, but it's about understanding where is all the information and how do I get that if I really need it very quickly. And I think that what you said before about bilateral agreements, Anna, it's great when countries do have bilateral agreements and partners are able to work so much more easily in places where they don't. But I think it's also important to note that depending on your profession, it
Yeah.
and your career choices, that bilateral agreement in reality might be not worth
Nope.
absolutely anything. And
Exactly.
the more and more stories I hear are, people have spoken, partners have taken it into their power to find out about what the working situation is. They feel hopeful that they're going to arrive and going to be able to get a job or work or do whatever they want to do. And then a long process later turns out, actually, I can't work. And it's the same repeating story that I'm hearing over and over again. And I wish if I was going to change anything when partners are getting involved to go overseas, I wish there were more honest conversations between ministries and couples about the actual chances of being able to work overseas.
Absolutely. Because I think it's like because I don't know, call it work or if you or I call it purpose, right? And ideally, this purpose also should bring you money in for exactly for the reasons we've just discussed. You know, being financially, being independent, being in control and in charge. Um, Yes. So this bilateral agreement and a lot of people are hopeful to find work, but we all know the labor market is super competitive. You're in a foreign country, you are competing, or sometimes the wages are so low
Yeah,
that it's almost,
pointless.
it's not exactly, there is no point of doing that. And that's why I think, I think I applaud your work, and I think it's so brilliant what you do with your clients, that you teach them how to have this portable lifestyle. And I do the same with mine, and I think it's also because people sometimes ask me like, I'm not sure, like, should I then start my own business, or what do I do? How do I recreate this life for me, like, my professional identity, my work, my purpose? How do I do that? I think maybe we can discuss it in another episode. If you guys are interested, we have some particular questions about work and how to actually work out what I want to do. I don't know where to start. I don't know how to do all of that. Maybe we can spend an episode discussing that. You can send us your questions, and don't we still
Yes,
have this
we still have the
ask us
link.
anything?
Yes.
We could do that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely, because there are pros and cons with any way
yeah,
that you decide to make this life. So there's no right or wrong way in in any capacity. And just as a little side point about working and allowances, sometimes depending on whether you work, actually it can affect which allowances that you are entitled to. So that's really important to just be aware of, because if you're in somewhere that like you said, that the local wages are so low, and then you're going to lose allowances. It's also about making that cost benefit analysis, and you might decide, no, I want to go out and I want the structure, and I want to go out and I want to do whatever I do. It doesn't matter about that bit, great, but it's about being aware, isn't it?
exactly. Being aware, because sometimes, as you said, those benefits will be cancelled out if you start working. And I know also after speaking to so many people that a lot of us just basically there is no incentive to work. Like, it's there are so many hurdles you have to jump over. You have to give this up, arrange this and that, and as a result, if you're going to earn that much, it's like it's almost, there's no point of doing that.
Hmm.
And that's why I think, yes, definitely, let's talk about how we can still have, something portable. Or if you're, let's say, staying in a country for 5 years, and you have good chances in the labor market. It's just, how, let's maybe create something that people can have a little structure on how do I work out what I,
Yeah, where do we
do work-wise.
start?
Exactly.
Yeah,
Where do I start?
where do I
How do I do
start?
that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and a lot of it is about, what are your personal preferences? Because it's personal preference, a lot of it. But I think that what links with that in terms of your personal preferences and the realities of this lifestyle and money, or when you're saving, yes, maybe saving for, fun things, but you're also saving for pension. But how about, how, future ready are you? Are you prepared for relocations, career gaps, um, the work restrictions that we faced? Have we, got to grips with what happens if your partner's post suddenly ends? Or, things get cut short, and how ready are you both for that in that situation. So really taking the time to, and I would really recommend this, if you haven't got all your ducks in one line, you just take a moment and just start with what's our day-to-day life looking like right now, where are we there, and then start to build up. So you've got your day-to-day structures, your practicalities, then maybe start thinking about your long term. If everything is happy and everything goes out wonderfully, am I prepared for that? And then have I got my worst case scenario situations all sorted too?
Exactly. And I think you want to obviously do it on your own first, sit down and do this little, like, how do you call it? It's like a screenshot of your life, as Emma said, exactly where you are right now. I think that's for all the people, the hardest question to answer.
Yes.
Where are you actually?
Yeah.
Because a lot of us are a bit scared to look where we are. But I think then when you obviously, the two of you dancing this tango, you need to discuss it with him. And I think so Emma, what are your takes or tips to our listeners? How do you talk about money
How do I talk
with
about
your
money?
spouse? Yeah, so that it's not, because it's such a sensitive topic. And I know a lot of women were telling me also anecdotally, whenever I bring it up, it's like, are you going to divorce me? Are you leaving? Why do you suddenly want all of that information?
Yeah. For me, and I think I've mentioned this before, this is something that we talk about in our quarterly general meeting. And it's something that we talk about on a regular basis. We don't necessarily talk about all of the aspects that we've talked about today, but we do talk about, you know, where are we? What's our next goals? How are we doing? Is Emma spending too much money on organic meat, which she probably is, but that's what I
Yeah,
want. All of those things. Where are we looking in terms of how much we're spending jointly, how much are we saving or spending independently, where are we going to next? So for me, getting rid of that big grey elephant, like you said, is to have the conversations regularly so that it doesn't feel like it's a big conversation.
exactly. And I think absolutely. So I would say just obviously do it when you're calm, when he's calm, like when everyone is calm
Yes.
and relaxed, and it's like it's almost business like, it's a family enterprise. Let's look at our finances and see what's happening. And since I'm here supporting you in all these endeavors, um, uh, like I want to have access to this. I want to have a better understanding. Unless you already have all of those, set up your bank account. And what I think a lot of couples do, and that's I think it's very beneficial also to notice if you have using your joint bank account for certain things. Maybe discuss, okay, if we spend, either one of us, spends more than $200, we're going to discuss it with each other. So where suddenly, and you don't feel like you need to justify. And you obviously discuss, maybe it's 500, I don't know, it's up to you.
Yeah.
But you want to justify yourself, yes, I bought this or I did that. No, you want um,
Yeah.
to
Discuss
have
the
this.
big purchases. Yeah.
Exactly, and you set the threshold. From what line, this is something that I discuss in advance before I do this thing. Say if I
That's
want to buy
yeah.
this course, if I don't have my savings yet, if I'm still kind of it's all in joint bank account, and say this is how I operate, because you don't want to be. And sadly again, I'm like that's the sad story is of like why you're cooking salmon for dinner, that's so expensive, why do you spend so much money on that? Like, you don't want to have these conversations, you want to justify, like, your organic meat.
No.
That's what you want.
Yes. And
and
that's
and
exactly what we have. And I say, if you want to be in charge of the shopping, you go for it. But yeah, if I'm in charge, I'm getting the things that is good for both of us all the time.
exactly, but talk about it. It's not like,
Yeah.
no blaming. It's not a game. It's like, hey, we're a
Yes.
team, we're in it together. I'm obviously, and well, I think we said it in once of the podcast. What if, like, God forbid, something happens to him tomorrow or her?
Yeah.
Like, do you have any accesses? Like, do you have any, like, where are the documents? Where are the things? It's just, yeah, a little dingy. Just in any case, and also once you start doing all of that, you'll feel, hey, actually, that was not very. you get out of your comfort zone, and every time you get out of your comfort zone, you do something. This is how you rebuild your confidence and
Yes.
ultimately self-trust, because there is no confidence. You first act and then you get confident. You don't get confident and then you act. It never happens, right, Emma?
Yes, 100%. And I think that this is when we look at all of these different topics, really this is all about empowering each other as a community, and improving our own independence and improving our identity. Financial independence is that confidence, security, identity. And I think that wherever you are along that journey, just taking that first step, is the most important thing for you to do right now. Where are you? How do you get your money? I think if you're going to start with anything, how do I get my money, and how much do I
Yeah.
get?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of us, like especially if you're like, so you have a mom and you're very busy, and I know you have your pickups and play dates and whatever, and I know life can get very, very busy. But this is non-negotiable. This is really, I guess Emma said, it's your security, it's your safety, and I'd add your identity, and I'd add your freedom. You really want to have those dogs, even they're all scattered.
Yeah.
Start putting them together one by one. Don't beat yourself up. Think about it. And if you have any questions, you can always reach out to us, talk to peeps around you. Um, right? That's how you,
Absolutely.
because at the end of the day, you are responsible for your life. And I know it's not easy. There are so many constraints, but like that's your duty.
Yeah.
And
100%.
and I think that's why, yeah, we're also here talking about it as our contribution to, yeah, let's untangle this big disempowering per default shoebox
Yes.
and empower each other. Yeah.
Yeah, and if you have any of these conversations, obviously you don't need to share the full details, but if you do take action, please do let us know, and let us know how how those conversations are received from the working officer too, because whenever you're having these conversations, it's always about challenging norms, expectations, and really going for the change. All of these things are for the positive change. So for your sake, their sake, it's the best thing that you can do to have that conversation today. So yeah, Anna, this has been what a fabulous chat as always.
Absolutely. And I do hope, just to recap, we spoke about
Yeah.
how this is how you take your power back, knowing and being aware what's happening financially, having your own bank account, and really, ideally, the allowance is transferred to you, how you manage your expenses, how you discuss it with your partner, no blame. It's just exactly see it like, and I think Emma, I love this, the quarterly, meetings. You can do
Yeah.
them monthly. You talk, you discuss, and again,
Yeah.
when it's a team, you're in it together. And yet, I think being a team, he's obviously pursuing his dreams, and he's so I almost wanted to swear, like, he's so effing lucky, or she having you accommodating all of that, supporting you. Also want to support your dreams, and
Yes.
like, don't forget, that's your beautiful life
It
too.
sure is. Anna, if anybody wants to find you, how can they find you?
Well, notjustaspouse.com, that's my website. You can actually, because I run so many events, I do have a page where you can go and see what's happening, and with all the links, how to log in and purchase, or like the info is there. Instagram. Yep, that's also, I think, not just a spouse, and LinkedIn. That's where I post more kind of more advocacy, more lengthy posts on what I'm doing. How about you, Emma?
Wonderful. You can find me on Instagram at The Zesty Life, or you can email me, and everything's going to be in the show notes anyway. But just keep doing all of the things that you're doing. Like the podcast, subscribe, rate it, share it with a friend. Honestly, the more that the word is getting out, and we're starting to see the ripple effect of how you're all taking action, it's really, really fantastic. So just even by sharing the link, if people listen to it or not, just know that they're also gaining access to just this whole shared experience, and access to a community that I think, and I'm sure you've found the same, Anna, when more and more people are really, really needing this support.
Oh, absolutely. And I think because a lot of us can feel so isolated by having these questions, no one to ask these questions, but also feeling certain ways and thinking, oh, maybe I'm just not cut out for this. No, and that's why the purpose of this is belonging, empowerment, upliftment, but also like practical things. Okay, this is what you can do, and obviously we're learning on the go as well. We also all masterpieces and work in progress at the same time. So just, I think let's maybe end here on this beautiful note.
Wonderful. Have a really nice week, everybody. Enjoy, and looking forward to speaking to you soon. Bye.
Same. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Bye.